here.
Hello.
Bye. How's it going?
Hi, how are you?
We met last year.
Okay.
Yeah,
Andrea.
yeah. I was
nice to meet
the
you.
mic man over there.
Okay, cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
The mic man. I'm guessing this is me.
Yep, that's you.
Whoa! Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic gotta say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitting for it, cause you all cap like.
Welcome to the Stuck in My Thoughts podcast. It's the place you want to be to hear a one-of-a-kind POV. If you're just joining us, I'm your host, Justin Stuckey, and today's point of view comes from ESPN's College Gameday analyst, Andraya Carter.
Hello.
Andrea, appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
So I've kept up with you for a minute. You know, last time I got the opportunity to meet you was in Auburn, back in Auburn again, and you've been all over the place. How would you describe what the last year has looked like for you?
Wow, the last year, well, amazing. First of all, it was an incredible year. It was a year of unexpected growth and opportunity, and yeah, just amazing moments from the athletes that I got to cover, the blow up of the big three, and with Chiney and Elle, and us having this chemistry that developed over the season, but then was just maximized at exactly the right time when all eyes were on the women's game. And yeah, it was just a big year of growth for me, I would say, personally, with my family, but also professionally. So yeah, I think unexpected but very welcomed growth and amazing moments.
We love growth, but every journey has a starting point. We're going to go back to your starting point. Yours started in Georgia. Your mother and your biological father had you in high school, and you guys moved in with your Nana. How would you describe, or what was your upbringing like?
Wow, yeah, it's crazy. A lot of people told my mom she was crazy to have me, and that I wouldn't go very far and wouldn't turn into anything, and because they had me so young. They were so young. They were young parents, and my Nana did help raise me. She was a Candace Parker and a Tennessee fan, and so for her to watch me go to Tennessee was really special. And we lost her while I was in school, but she was a huge part of my upbringing. She was, had all the cousins at her house, everybody at her house. At one point, my mom stayed with her, and she had so much love to give, so much unconditional love for all of us. So I would say I grew up, and my stepdad helped raise me. He is the one that got me into basketball, and so I would spend weekends at home practicing and weeks at home practicing and training and going to school, and then I would spend weekends at my Nana's house, and a lot of basketball, a lot of training outside, a lot of playing with the boys in different parks, a lot of getting beat up by my cousins or getting beat up by the boys in the neighborhood, but also a ton of just love surrounding my childhood. So that's how I describe it.
I heard your parents were pretty strict on you as you were growing up, as you like to use. How do you feel like that discipline, as kids, we don't always want to get, reprimanded, but how do you feel like that discipline kind of shaped you into going into your just life and career?
It was huge. I hate to sound like an old head, but I do think that at times, my parents being so strict on me, it was probably a little too extreme, but I do have really good habits. My parents, they didn't let me go outside. They didn't let me turn on the TV. They didn't let me do anything until my homework was done. They made me put my phone up at 10 p.m. and I couldn't be on it anymore because I needed to go to sleep and I needed to get rest. And they placed a very big emphasis on getting straight A's, not because I needed to get straight A's, but because that's what they knew I was capable of. They knew I should get straight A's, so that was the standard. So when it comes to making sure my work is taken care of before I have fun. And I do have a lot of fun in this life. I have a very good amount of fun. Yeah, I'm a work hard, play hard kind of person, but the work comes first. Mm-hmm. And I think the discipline and the repercussions that happened when I wasn't disciplined or I didn't put my best foot forward, I think that being drilled into me at a young age is the reason why, I am the way that I am today. Discipline, you can be, you're on the road and you're in different cities and you're traveling and, this life, there's so many things. The world is opened up to you, but are you taking care of business first? And do you know your material? Are you prepared? No one's over my shoulder like, hey, did you watch Auburn? Do you know this team? Do you know this team? No one's just checking on me daily. you have to check on yourself and you have to keep yourself in check. And so my parents being very hard on me at a young age, I think did end up paying off.
That's super hard. A lot of times, like I like to use the term easier said than done, because a lot of people will, be like, oh yeah, I'm going to get this done here, then I'm going to go play. But sometimes it's very difficult to actually put that into play. And you talked about nobody's over your shoulder. Like, did you watch this team? Yep. We were driving over here. I was telling you about the summer league. That's how it opened my eyes to, like, they're going to give it to you, tell you what teams you got, and it's on you to either be prepared or not prepared. And going back to, like, your family, they've taught you so many foundational lessons. And going back to your Nana, I would just like to know, because I've seen in former interviews and pretty much anytime you're in the public and have an opportunity, you talk about, the impact she's had on you. What are some of the lessons that she taught you that kind of still stick with you to today?
Wow, yeah, it's, I love getting to talk about her because I love her so much. I think she just embodied love. When you were around her, you felt like she cared about you. She cared about what you had to say. She cared about your thoughts, your feelings. And I think that, like, everyone around her felt important. And I think in this life, we can all feel like we're too busy or feel like we don't have enough time. And it was like the hours in her day were unlimited for anybody that needed them, almost to a fault. And so learning a little bit of that lesson from her as well, there are times where I wish she would have had more boundaries, but she was so selfless and so giving and so loving. And I think just that level of unconditional love and commitment to the people that were important to her especially, but also to anyone that needed something, she did that. And I think that the way I love others and care for them, whether it's my friends, my family, my colleagues, or anybody, I learned that level of love because of the way my Nana loved me. And so I think that, I do say I was her favorite grandchild, which, by the way,
everybody,
Gloria Carter, Andraya Carter was her favorite grandchild. But I just think it's that level of love. Like, when you have so much love in you, there's a lot of love around you. And, the love that you put out is the love that you get back. And I think that I try to embody that level of my Nana's love daily.
Love is important. And, you love them while they're here. And then even after they've gone on, you mentioned that she passed away. And you've been pretty open about, going to therapy and dealing with grief. What advice would you give to people who are experiencing grief? Because we're all going to experience it at some point.
Grief it's such a, I think, underrepresented emotion in terms of things that people deal with daily. Grief is so hard because something bad happens, and I'll speak for myself. I'm going through a hard time. I want to talk to my Nana. I'm having a great time. I want to share that with my Nana. So grief is something that no matter what you're going through, it's almost just like a shadow, and you kind of learn to do two things at one time. Like, oh, I'm so happy to be here, and I'm heartbroken that she's not here. Or, and you kind of learn to walk through life with that over your shoulder all the time. You almost like hold grief's hand, and it just walks with you. It just goes everywhere that you go. And I think for people dealing with it, for me, therapy is very important. Having people to talk to, getting those thoughts out there. I'm a big fan of meditation. I've had the same therapist for a few years now, and I do think that the vulnerability and the openness and willingness to talk to someone about it is really important, because I think grief is different for so many people. And so figuring out how you can live your life alongside your grief is really important. And like I said, it's different for everybody. So I do think it is, it's a hard, something I deal with every day, for sure.
I think that vulnerability piece is huge, because I'm just speaking from me personally and a lot of my friends, especially in the Black community, Black household. It was kind of like, I always heard, whatever happens in this house stays in this house. Or if something happens, you just keep on moving forward, and feeling, especially for the Black male perspective, feeling weak to talk to somebody. And I feel like breaking that stigma is huge, and having somebody like yourself with the platform to be like, hey, it's cool to not be okay. It's cool to go through things at times. And those are some of the sad moments, but some of the good moments have stemmed from basketball. Basketball has brought you a lot of happy moments. And one of those being, all the way from when you were 7 and sat your parents down and like, hey, I want to play basketball at Kentucky, to getting your first offer in the 8th grade. But one of the biggest things I think was cool about your story is you were on Pat Summitt's last recruiting class. What was it like being recruited by a legend, and what was you guys' relationship like?
Yeah, no disrespect to Kentucky, but it was not Kentucky. It was Tennessee for sure.
Oh,
but,
I said Kentucky, my bad.
Yeah. I don't know where you got that from, but we hated Kentucky and Tennessee.
That was definitely a miscue. I have been ingrained. It's okay. Somehow we mess up, but we keep rolling.
It happens.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Balls for life.
Yes.
Go ahead.
You want to sing Rocky Top just to make up for it?
After the show. So sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you to that.
Yeah, War Eagle, fly down the field. Keep
yeah,
going.
wish that. Okay, I'm not gonna sing. I think for me, I talked about my Nana, and we watched Candace Parker play. We watched Tennessee, and for me, Tennessee was close enough for my Nana to come to my games, my family to come to my games. The SEC tournament was basically in my backyard for a couple of years, so it was always SEC for me, and I read Pat Summitt's books, and I loved Tamika Catchings in the WNBA, and I loved Candace Parker, and she inspired my baby hairs, and there were just so many ties to Tennessee. And I learned a lot from Pat when I talked to her my freshman year in high school. I had a conversation with her on the phone, and I was so nervous to talk to her, and she just immediately calmed my nerves, just immediately made herself feel like we were on the same level. And for someone as legendary as Pat Summitt to immediately make me feel comfortable and have time for me. And, I saw her on multiple occasions sign a line of autographs. They came and played the University of Georgia, and she signed Georgia fans, Tennessee fans, signed everybody's autograph and gave everyone so much time. And, that showed me also just her level of humility, like that level of greatness, but that level of humility. I wish I got more time with her, time on the court, time off the court, but to hold on to the memories I do have and the conversations I have and going to her house when I was at Tennessee and just spending time with her, it was definitely something that impacted me and always will stay with me.
Mm-hmm. And, you didn't get a chance to be coached by her while you were at Tennessee. But one of the things while you're there that stuck out with me the most is not what you did on the court, but off the court, with you volunteering at the Tennessee School of Deaf. What type of appreciation or perspective did you gain from working with people who have disabilities?
My time at TSD was so special. It's something I will always cherish. Those kids and those students, they didn't care if we won. They didn't care if we lost. All they cared about was that I cared about them. They cared about my connection to them and being present with them. I think that was one of the first times early, because I didn't start meditating until after college, but that was one of the first times that I really experienced what it feels like to be present, like to leave everything at the door, which you can do when you go to basketball practice, right? You can be present in basketball, but to release basketball and find true joy in something else, in working with those kids and doing skills training with the kids and PE classes. And, I really found a love for fitness and training and kids. And that was huge for me, especially because basketball wasn't going the way I thought it was going to go, after a series of injuries. And I wasn't playing at a very high level, and I didn't feel great about basketball at all. And instead of letting those feelings of hurt and pain connected to the game and holding on to those all day, every day, I got to release them and find joy elsewhere. And, it kind of gave me the first glimpse of what life could look like without basketball. And, the TSD students kind of helped me find value in myself off the court, because I was really struggling with that for a while. So I owe a lot of being able to walk away from the game to my time with the Tennessee School for the Deaf, for sure.
You helped me, transition to my next point. You talked about the injuries, you talked about the transition. Many athletes deal with injuries while they're playing college athletics, but every athlete at some point has to deal with transitioning out of their sport. How did you manage life after ball, especially in your fifth year, because you didn't take it, but you were still on campus?
Yeah, it was brutal. I had a really hard time. And, with that fifth year, I spent a lot of time at the Tennessee School for the Deaf. I spent a lot of time keeping myself busy, because when I did slow down, it was very easy to fall into a dark place. And so I stayed busy. Luckily, Tennessee still let me finish school, even though I wasn't on the team, which I appreciated. So I got my master's degree. And, I think the more I leaned into, wow, basketball didn't work out for me, what's next? And the more I just leaned into that next phase instead of hanging back into what could have been, the more opportunities started opening up for me in this next chapter. So I kind of had to almost force myself forward and not worry too much about what didn't go the way I always dreamed of. And yeah, it was hard. You know, you're on campus and I didn't know how to work out. I'd only worked out with my team.
That's so real.
That's real.
That's so real.
So there was that factor in it. And, you know, but I just sort of dove into being what I would, you know, a regular, quote unquote, regular person.
Did y'all use the term NARP?
We use the term NARP. Yeah, we use the term NARP. But for me, yeah, I worked as a grad assistant for our academic center. Shout out to Caitlin Ryan. I was her assistant. She worked with the softball team and the swim and dive team. And I'm building class schedules for athletes. And then I'm going and driving for Uber and I'm driving for Lyft. And I was training kids and I was spending time at TSD. And then I also stumbled into calling games online. And I only said yes to that because I was so broke. I needed money. I was inspired by, you know, women that called my games and got to know them. And they were like, just see if Tennessee will let you call a game. Maria Taylor, LaChina Robinson. See if Tennessee will let you be an analyst. You'll make like, you know, a couple $100 a game. I'm like, yes, I need this. I need that. But yeah, I just really trying to lean in and not let myself stay too far in the past was probably the key for me.
One quote I've heard you say a lot is, you don't believe it's a lack of time, but a lack of focus. And I believe that the timing is always right, being in the right place at the right time. Can you talk about the time that you were on this campus and you met Maria Taylor during the shoot around and how that kind of sent you down the sports media journey? Yeah,
I've always been a talker. That's always been a thing. It's what I got in trouble for in elementary school. That's what I make a living off of now. And
look at her now.
Well, you know, for all the kids that get in trouble for talking, just know there might be something down the line. But also behave in class. Yeah, be quiet. You know, so my freshman year started the season, was playing well, and then ended up needing a shoulder surgery at Tennessee. And so I'm at Auburn's campus. We're playing Auburn. I'm not playing. I had to redshirt that year. And Maria Taylor's just sitting on the sidelines. It might have been an SEC network game. I don't know. And I just go and start picking her brain. And I was just so interested. I'm a big studier. I love, you know, how people prepare for things. And she was so kind, so gracious. I feel very honored to call her a friend now. And we just started picking her brain. And she gave me her phone number and was like, if you ever need anything, let me know. And then, you know, at the SEC tournament, the next couple of years, I would go and I would sit with Maria Taylor on the studio desk. And then Nell Fortner was there, who was an analyst at the time, but she also, you know, had recruited me at the time, you know, when I was in high school. And so I would talk to Nell Fortner and I would just pick the brains of all of these women. And then I got to know Carolyn Peck, and you know, I just got a real interest in the way these women were covering our game and the way they talked about the game and what stood out to them. And I think it just almost I had a subconscious attachment to covering the game of basketball that I didn't even realize I had until the opportunity came up for me to do it. And I spent a weekend with Maria in Charlotte, and she took me to the studio and just opened my eyes to studio shows and being on set and what it could feel like. She also brought me on when they had SEC Nation. She brought me on to do a segment with Paul Feinbaum because they came to Tennessee. Like the ties are unbelievable. And she gave me her credential to get into the SEC tournament, to have my first meeting with who then became my boss at ESPN, Pat Lowry. So the connections with Maria started at Auburn, and she really pushed me into this field without either of us, I think, even realizing it. She was so encouraging, so supportive, and just so open and welcoming for me with anything that I needed.
You talked about meeting Pat Lowry. It was in the hotel lobby,
yeah.
I was told, at the SEC tournament. But what many people don't know is you slept in a car.
Yeah.
Can you talk about like the level of like dedication and just the thought process of like, I'm going to get it by any means necessary? Because a lot of people be like, I want to be on TV. I want to do this. But is everybody willing to do that?
Yeah, it's tough. Be careful sleeping in the car. It was, and I also would say, Pat Lowry at the time, she would laugh at this. I've said this before, but she was like, I have 5 to 10 minutes. We'll meet in the lobby and chat. Like, if anyone gives you 5 to 10 minutes, just take it, because 5 to 10 minutes for us turned into an hour. So you never know. Yeah. And people might say they have 5 to 10 minutes, but really they've got longer if you make it worth their time. And yeah, I drove down, again, a little short on funds, and didn't know where I was gonna stay, slept in my car, changed in the car, went to the tournament, chatted with her, and the opportunity to sit with her in the truck the next day. I actually then the next night got a hotel because she wanted me to stay for the championship game. So I was just gonna drive up, chat with her, and then go back home. But she wanted me to stay until the championship game, so then I ended up, luckily, through a friend of a friend, staying in a hotel room with someone that was so kind. But yes.
Oh, you didn't know them?
No, I knew we had a mutual. Okay. So it was just like hey,
I know so-and-so. You mind if I crash here?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So shout out to mutual friends. You got to know people who know people sometimes. But yeah, Pat Lowry, we met at the SEC tournament, thanks to Maria Taylor's credential and Maria Taylor pushing my name to Pat Lowry, probably. So yeah, I think it's important to, when you are interested in something or you want something, to make those connections so that those people have you in their mind when a potential opportunity comes up.
Yeah, I've always been, I've heard a lot of sayings growing up. And in school, it was not the grades you make, but the hands you shake. And then it was always about, not what you know, but who you know.
Who you know.
But the most important thing, it ain't about who you know, it's about who knows you.
Look at you.
You know what I'm saying?
You.
Philosopher stuck in this thing. You know what I'm saying?
That's not bad. That's good.
Put that on Instagram.
That's good.
Don't you worry. But one thing I think is important for people to take from this especially is they see Andraya Carter, ESPN analyst, all over the TV. But don't see Andraya, the Orange Theory instructor, the Uber driver, or selling crown molding.
Yep.
Was there ever a time where you were questioning if this was your purpose?
Oh, absolutely. I would say, I did TV for a handful of years, just part-time. People, they see these recent years and they're like, oh my gosh, you exploded. And, but I started TV at this point 7 years ago. So those first 4 years, I had all of those part-time jobs, selling crowd molding. I would answer the phone every day. I'm in business casual clothes and, thank you for calling Wood Grain. This is Andraya. How can I help you? And they're like, I need 500 square feet of, Crown 27. And, that was my job because I had bills to pay. Like, I didn't have a place to go back to. I wasn't going back to stay with my parents. I was an adult and I had to make money while still slowly chasing the dream of being on TV. And then I found a job that I loved in being an Orange Theory fitness coach. I give so much credit to Orange Theory because it almost took a little bit of pressure off TV because I really enjoyed the job. I enjoyed the role. And so for 3 years, after that first year with Wood Grain, I was doing TV part-time. And then 3 years with Orange Theory, I was still doing TV part-time. I would tell people I'm a fitness coach that does TV on the side. And I thought my career would be in fitness, whether it was working with kids eventually or training adults or going back to working with differently abled children or differently abled adults. That was kind of where I thought my life was going. And, TV, Orange Theory just slowly started going down and TV just started coming up until eventually, I was like, wait, my career is in TV. But there were times where it's hard to explain, but I would coach fitness classes on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursday mornings. And then I would drive to Charlotte, and I had a show Thursday night. We had SEC Now for women's basketball, which they still do. Alyssa, Steffi, I was just watching them.
Shout out Lane.
And yep, love them. And then I would finish the show, drive back to Atlanta. So now we're getting into Friday. I would coach on Friday, sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the evenings. I would coach Saturday morning at Orange Theory. And then I would get on a flight. I'd fly somewhere. I'd call a game on Sunday. And then I'd fly back home after the game Monday morning. And I'd coach classes Monday night. So it was around the clock. So Monday through Saturday, I coached classes. Thursdays I coached and did TV, just drive to Charlotte, drive back. And then Sundays I did TV. So it was just 7 days a week around the clock. Just, you know, I started making that drive just in silence. And on one of the drives, it was late at night, I called Chiney and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm in tears, I'm tired. I don't think I can do this. And she was so encouraging and I was so uncomfortable. And she was like, the one that can be uncomfortable the longest will go the furthest. And that was the last basketball season that I had 2 jobs. I went full-time after that season. And so I think, yeah, but that was a time where I was like, I'll just be a fitness coach. Like, I don't need to do TV. It's okay. Like, maybe I should let this go. And it was like, you know, they say like you're right when you're about to give up is when you're going to break through. That was that time for me.
I've seen Michael B. Jordan talk about that. I was just telling somebody about it. He's like, right, most people give up right when they're at the brink.
Right there.
I'm at the brink. I'm going to break through, don't you? Y'all just watch out.
You will.
So when you get that call to be like, hey, we're going to sign you for, you know, a multi-year contract, what are your thoughts at that point? When you're like, man, I've been on this grind for years and I finally got, you know, my work is paying off and people are seeing it and I got this opportunity.
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, it was just something that I never saw coming, you know, like just my life just continuously moving in directions that I would have never expected. And to me, though, it was going to just be a different kind of hustle. Like, I was hustling when I had 2 jobs. Now that same hustle goes to this one job because when I went full-time, the one thing they wanted me to add was college football sideline reporting. So that was my first year full-time, adding football sideline reporting. I added a football show called Out of Pocket with Alyssa. So it was a new challenge, a new level of tired, a new level of being uncomfortable, but that's how it's supposed to be. Anytime you elevate, it's uncomfortable. You've got to figure out how to cover football, how to do football sideline, how to do the NBA Summer League and do those things, those opportunities that you got for the first time. So I felt very excited, but also not comfortable at all. Like, I was like, oh, now I have to make this opportunity that they're giving me, I have to make sure they know that I'm worth it. And now I'm covering a sport that I haven't covered before, and I've got to figure out how to do it. And it was just a different level. But I think when you're okay being uncomfortable, and this sounds like coach speak, but I was okay being uncomfortable at Orange Theory. I was okay being uncomfortable at Wood Grain. So now I'm okay being uncomfortable with whatever ESPN gives me also. Like, that level of fatigue or discomfort or traveling a lot and all that, none of that bothers me. I felt ready just to take it on.
Love to hear that. Now that you've gotten your footing, and we talked about it at the beginning, you've been killing it. You've been doing a lot of big things. And you mentioned these 2 earlier, but you're a part of the big 3. You know, you, Elle, and Chiney. How does it feel being a part of a trailblazing trio, especially on the women's side like that?
I think, honestly, I've never even thought about it as a trailblazing trio. To me, the best part is having so much fun with people that I work with. And I've always had a lot of fun with people that I work with. Like I mentioned, Steffi and Alyssa, and I've been on productions with China, who is, you know, one of my closest friends. She's the salt of the earth. And, you know, I've done different things with amazing people. But for me, Elle, and Chiney to develop the chemistry and the synergy that we had with the consistency that we were on together, and now the friendship that we have off air, that's my favorite part. You know, it's really, there's a big sisterhood in women's sports, and then we have our trio of true closeness that is, it's so much fun. And I think the chemistry and the synergy and the energy that we had was able to meet the moment of how great the basketball was also. So it was just this merging of, you know, we had all the games on, we had all the time in the world to talk, and then the games were amazing, the players were killing it. It was just this perfect combination of explosion for the women's game that was really special to be a part of.
Yeah, you guys are blowing up, and people were definitely giving y'all's flowers on social media and everything. But you talk about having fun with your colleagues and coworkers. I want to talk about a time you had fun with a lot of them in the DR. How was that DR trip?
So shout out to Monica, because that was her little Bachelorette weekend. That was so much fun. And that's the thing. Like, you know, that was me, Christine, Monica, Angel Gray, like all of us work together. All of us have been on different things together, and then we're able to go to DR and have an amazing time. And, you know, that same crew with one of my best friends, Erica, we went and saw Beyonce in Atlanta, and we went and saw, like, the way that we all hang out outside of work is my favorite part. Like, it's so fun to work with your friends and to want to elevate them, and they elevate you, and you know them so well that the connection you have off the court goes right on air. But the trip to DR was phenomenal. It was perfectly planned. It was so much fun. We had a blast. We celebrated Monica. It was an escape from everything. The weather was gorgeous. I need another one of my friends to get married so we can do it again, basically, is what I need.
Who's the mom of the group, and who's like the wild one, the complete opposite of the group?
The mom is LaChina. Okay. Like of our, LaChina didn't go to DR, but LaChina is the mom of the crew. Like all of us, like LaChina is a mom, even to Elle. Like Elle will be one to, well, Elle's always being moved to tears because Elle's just emotional.
Elle's emotional.
She's so emotional, and she knows it too, so I'm not giving anything away. But LaChina is definitely the mom. It's actually funny, I think the wild child, I think most people in the group would probably say me.
Oh, I didn't expect you.
I know, I think everyone would roll their eyes at me if I said anyone other than myself.
Okay, we're not gonna get into details, but Andraya is the wild child.
It's me.
Okay, so I told you this when I first met you last year. You're like one of the first people I looked at when I got kind of interested in the sports media. And around that time, your social media following was like, maybe 20K. Then when I met you here, it was probably like 40K. Now it's almost 200K. And so with a bigger social media presence, more eyes, more opinions. And like I said, this past year, you've been doing a lot of great things. At the draft, the little JJ Redick thing blew up.
2 years ago, yeah.
2 years, yeah. The little JJ Redick thing blew up. So I would like to know from your perspective, how do you handle the positives and the negatives of social media?
Yeah, that was probably one of the more eye-opening experiences for me in terms of social media going crazy and it honestly going in the wrong direction. It's funny, JJ and I are good friends. We're close. When he got the job with the Lakers, I called him. We communicate, we talk like that. That was a planned bit that didn't go the way we thought it would. And I think that was the first time where I realized I need to give myself space after shows before I even get on social media. That was like my first time experiencing that because I actually felt really good about what I did on my first NBA draft. But getting on social media right after took all of those positive feelings away. And that was my first lesson in I need to feel how I feel about my shows and then get on social media. And then as, like you talked about, the social media presence has sort of grown and there's been more voices, that has slowly transitioned to, I don't need to check my mentions at all. So, but that was the first, I was cut. I was hurt that next day, just everyone chiming in. And then I finally had to realize more and more over time and through therapy that I can't give that any energy. And it's hard because in your mentions there will be great things and there will be people that are so supportive and so, you know, and you want to interact with those people, but to get to those people, you've got to go through all the other mess, and that's not the part, that's not worth it to me. And so I have had to adjust how I approach social media, and it's really more just a tool for business and to put out work-related information, and that's really all I use it for now.
That's what's up. Well, you have a coworker, and she's one of my favorite at ESPN, Christine. Shout out, Christine. I love her social media.
She's amazing.
Yeah, and I like her. She put out some little thing on her story, and it was like a bunch of options, and one of the options was like, we want the dating tea again.
Yep.
I love how she puts out the dating information, and she keeps us up to speed on the successful dates, failed dates. And I asked somebody this in a previous episode I did. Are you a fan of public social media relationships or not?
Oh, I love them. I love them. I love Christine's social media. I think it's so entertaining. It's so much fun. But you have to be built for it. Like, Christine and I are so different. Like, she's one of my closest friends. She is built for that, and she is perfect for that. And I would just encourage people to know themselves in terms of what they want to share and what they feel comfortable putting out there, and what they don't want to share and what they don't feel comfortable putting out there. But I'm well embedded in Christine's dating life and knowing what's going on, and I do love, for all the people that share anything like that, I think it's great. I'm like, give us all the tea. We want all the drama. I'm not sharing any of mine.
I was about to rephrase that question. I meant you.
Oh, for me?
Yes. Are you a fan?
No.
Okay.
No, I won't. I won't. No.
Okay. That's all I want to know.
Yeah.
That was.
I think for me, I've learned, and it could be something that changes, but I feel better when I have some things that are just for myself, and some things that are just kept to myself. And I have learned through the JJ Redick thing and through that incident, and through a series of other things, you just have to be okay with letting people believe whatever they want to believe about you. You can't go and explain yourself and explain what you've been through and explain your story and explain, then you're just in a constant state of explaining yourself. So for me, I had to realize I know who I am, I know my story, I know why I'm not playing professionally and why I'm on TV instead, and I'm okay with who I am. And the people that know me, and the people that don't. And I don't have to go teach everyone who I am. You know, I'm okay with that. And for me, the more information you put out there that's personal, the more people have to make assumptions about who you are as a person. And for me, I just want people to know the work that I do, and all my personal stuff can be kept for my personal life.
I feel that. You know, don't hate from outside the club. You can't even get in.
Can't get in.
You ain't in the circle.
Can't
you know
get
what I'm
in.
saying? I feel that. So we're winding down here on this episode, and 2 quick questions I have. And I've seen this everywhere. You have a snake?
I do, yeah.
Why is your snake named Nothing?
His name is Nothing from a book that I read. I'm a big reader. Big reader. I have a really big bookshelf in my loft. And I read a book in middle school called Perks of Being a Wallflower. And the character in the book was getting bullied. And he was like, you can call me Patrick or you can call me Nothing. And he kind of stood up to the bullies. And I thought it was cool, as we're talking about social media bullies, right? And they were like, okay, Nothing. And they started calling him Nothing. And I guess it just struck me as a, existential 6th grader who was questioning everything about life. And I was like, I'm going to get a pet snake and I'm going to name him Nothing. And then I got to college and that's what I did.
Yeah, why a snake though? You couldn't name a dog Nothing? Like, what is it about the snake?
Well, I had my biological dad growing up had a snake. So there's a picture, I'm 3 years old with a snake around my neck. Yeah. And then my mom, when it was, just me and her for a little bit, we had a snake. And then when my stepdad came into the picture, he was like, absolutely no snakes. So no more snakes after that. And then when I got to college, I was on my own, obviously. Yeah. And I wanted another pet snake. Low maintenance, they don't make any noise, they don't smell. Adults eat once a month. We could go down a snake hole if you want.
Oh no, we're not gonna do that.
For someone that plans to be as busy as you plan to be, a snake would be a perfect companion.
I had a bearded dragon growing up.
Okay, so you understand the appeal.
Yeah,
of a reptile.
Yeah, but a snake is just I've always been freaked out. I can see that though, because the bearded dragons intrigued me, so the snakes probably intrigued you too. Okay, next question.
They're low maintenance. They're very chill.
I may have to meet Nothing and see if it's different than the other snakes I've encountered.
He's sweet.
And when I was doing my research for this episode and planning, did a lot of due diligence. And I came across one of your day in the lives one time, and I noticed this. It kind of struck me, and I was curious. Why do you sleep with socks on?
I am a sock sleeper. Feet, I want them to be warm, cozy. If I want to just hop out of the bed, I don't want my feet to be cold. I don't have carpeted floors. My floors are...
I'm a carpet floor person, so I can see.
See?
Maybe
I'm not.
Maybe keep them on the nightstand.
Then you gotta, eyes half closed, you're tired, you gotta grab a sock, you gotta put it on, just sleep in them.
Okay, valid. I just was curious.
Have you ever tried it?
No.
Right, see, that's your problem. Because I've tried both ways, and I know what I like.
Okay. I guess I can't knock it till I try it. So
exactly.
Maybe tonight probably won't happen, but, this is stuck in my thoughts. I was stuck in my thoughts about
I just think you should be open-minded.
Okay, I'll open my mind up. And so, Andraya, The name of this show is called Stuck in My Thoughts, and I ask everybody that comes on the show, what do you get stuck in your thoughts about?
Oh, I get stuck in my thoughts about, wow, I'm stuck in my thoughts about what I get stuck in my thoughts about.
Got her.
That's probably just, where do I need to be doing more? And am I doing enough? And am I taking care of the people that need me? Am I there for them enough with as busy as I am? Am I connected enough to the people that are important to me? Do they feel my presence in their life? Or am I more absent than I think I am because I'm always busy? I think that I get, stuck in my thoughts about whether or not I'm connected to the people that mean a lot to me. And it's hard in a field like this, but I do think that is something that's always pulling at the back of my mind.
You heard it here first. Drea, I appreciate you sitting down with me. All you guys tuning in, make sure you go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. Keep up with everything Stuck in My Thoughts. Follow Drea's journey. Follow my journey. We out here. College Game Days tomorrow.